What's going on there, guys? Good evening. It's the Earthmaster here on this beautiful Monday night, August 29th, 2022. It's about 7:52 p.m. California time. Got a 1.4 earthquake on the globe. The latest quake here looks like right around the Nevada area. Looks like right around Tonopah, Nevada. All right, let's get a look at some activity happening right now. We're going to jump into the space weather activity where sunspot 3088 continues up into this hour to produce some M flares. This is the sunspot that won't go away, even though it's on facing away from us and not visible. We're still able to see these massive M flares popping off from the sun's surface and continuing to give us the high frequency radio blackouts there at the sunlit side of the Earth on the DRAP map. So a lot of activity continuing from this sunspot. I tell you what, it's one of the most active solar sunspots that I have seen in quite a while, as far as producing continuous M flares like it has. Has not produced an X flare yet, but I still believe it's got a potential to do it. But anything that does get released, as far as a CME goes, from that specific sunspot will be away from the Earth and not effective at all towards us. Looking at the current sunspot that is facing us right now is 3089. This one's getting a little complex magnetic field here. I still believe it's the beta gamma class. Let me double check and make sure. On 3089, got a beta delta class right there. Does harbor a chance for some C flares, M flares at 25% chance, X flare around 10%. So activity still somewhat elevated there with this current solar sunspot that is facing us. Overall risk right now, 99% chance of a C flare, 55 for the M flare, and 25% chance for an X flare. Protons are hanging out around 50% chance. Looking at the 3-day geomagnetic forecast, with all this solar flare activity, we're not expecting anything in the near future because nothing's really been Earth directed as far as any CME goes. It's all been blown away from Earth as far as the coronal blast, but we'll see if that doesn't change here with this sunspot that is kind of giving us the eyeball right now, and looking pretty complex there. We'll watch it pretty closely. Earthquake activity across the world here on the last 24-hour map still shows quite a bit of activity along the western Pacific and also around the Guam area, the Mariana Trench. As far as the most recent activity goes here in this area, looks like we did have a 4.7 out here near the Carlsberg Ridge. That one kicking off here just a short time ago. A little bit of activity in the Tonga region, and of course we had that 5.8 earlier this afternoon time frame in the Kermadec Trench. So not a whole lot of renewed activity since the update far as the western Pacific goes, and the Philippine plate looks like just this Tonga 4.4 earthquake at 179 kilometers deep is about the latest one out here on this area of the map. Some movement up into Alaska today as well. Looks like a little activity. Let's bring up the 2.5. Got a 4.1 that kicked off here this afternoon time frame. Pretty shallow earthquake. It is along the Aleutian Trench here. Far as the swarming activity goes around the Trident Volcano, not seeing that kick back up anymore. Far as the swarming goes, nothing being listed here on the map. AVO, the Alaskan Volcano Observatory, has not done any update on it. So these 156 earthquakes or so within the volcano, it's just kind of there. No explanation for them or why they're happening. So we'll watch it and see if this continues or if it's just completely disappeared like it has today. So yeah, a little on the odd side to see all that swarming and then just have it stop just like that. The rest of Alaska, movement up through the Cook Inlet, up into the Denali region as typical along this plate boundary. No major activity up into the Pacific Northwest. Most of the activity has been confined a little bit further south into the states, right across the Nevada area where we did see a little bit of movement here within the last 24 hours. Also the last hour where that 1.4 is in the Mina, Nevada area. Far as the Long Valley supervolcano goes, a little bit of earthquake activity today. Just some microquakes. Nothing major going on there. Northern California, not a whole lot going on. Kind of a mellow day out here in California, except for the Calpine operations there with the ongoing energy solutions. A little bit of movement along the creeping section of the San Andreas Fault and Southern California. Not a whole lot. We got 23 earthquakes here, and that's not that big of a deal. Nothing. Well, we got one near La Quinta, California. This one was this afternoon time frame on the San Jacinto Fault zone here. A little 2.6. But aside from that, just a couple spotty earthquakes here and there. No major swarms to report there in Southern California. Just pretty much Nevada, and that's about it as far as increased activity goes. Let's see what we got here. I know sometimes these swarms can get covered up. We did cover this a little bit this morning. Doesn't look like we've seen any further sequence of activity here in the Lake Isabella area, Bella Vista region. Did have a little bit of swarming overnight. We had a little bit more than 12 earthquakes here in that swarming area, but that has since died off. Nothing to report there in recent past few hours. Yellowstone National Park, it looks like, I don't know if they got all those microquakes up there or not. Let's go ahead and check out the, let's get off of that real quick and go back here to Yellowstone. And here's the, I can already see it's still continuing here, folks, and activity looks like it died off for a little bit. Let's go to the Maple Creek area. About the afternoon time frame, we had a little period of a couple hours of quietness, but here early this evening looks like we picked up in the earthquake department once again. So this is day number 5. Tomorrow, day number 6 of the earthquake swarm that's continuing there at Yellowstone National Park. And this latest activity, it looks a little bit larger. It is kind of showing up across the area, but I don't believe USGS has shown anything recent. Looks like the earliest one was early afternoon time frame. So a lot of this activity doesn't get inputted here onto the earthquake catalog. The USGS scientists and whatnot, they have to study them, figure out where all these quakes are occurring, their exact depths, and then go from there and then add them manually. But I think 2.5 and above is the preliminary system that puts out any earthquakes, should they happen in that level. But the majority of these look like they are below that threshold. Let's see what else we got here outside of Yellowstone. Across the country, some movement throughout Texas. A little activity in Oklahoma. Eastern part of the country looks pretty quiet, and it's been that way for a little while. Haven't really seen too much in the earthquake department over in that region of the world. Puerto Rico, 10 earthquakes. And this is the all-magnitude map there. Not a whole lot going on around the Puerto Rico area. Low activity in the Ecuador area, just off the coast as well, into the Peru-Chile Trench, or the Ecuador Trench here on the map. 4.4 at 45 kilometers, somewhat deep. A little bit of shallow earthquake activity as well prior to that, but a little bit older as well. Movement along the Peru-Chile Trench here looks confined to about a bunch of 4s. That's about it. No major earthquake movement to report there in the South America region. Let's see what else we got here. Java Trench. Let's see if this is, I think this is some older movement from this morning time frame. Yep. Looks a little bit on the older side. So kind of at a standstill right now as far as any general seismic activity right now. We did see some further movement into the Mongolia-Russia border up here. Seen a 4.4. This one this afternoon time frame. This earthquake here from this morning in the China area around the what is this? Not for sure. Kashmir area, looks like a little 4-pointer. Aside from that, just kind of watching things right now, folks. Seeing how it takes off. The tremor map tonight. All of the epicenters, 184 of them, are confined to Northern California. Southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. We have not seen any other earthquake activity out here aside from that 4.5 This one was earlier this morning time frame. But overall, if you think about the dynamics here and the shoving down of the plate into the subduction zone, it only makes sense that there's still continual strain here in the southern portion. It seems like right now, the Cascadia, and get a little bit of back building of some earthquakes here. The general plate movement here in this region is kind of being shoved down in this area, in this direction towards the east. All right, volcano hazards. I did a check on the Tau Island volcano. I did write the USGS just a little bit ago and asked them about a link to provide us with the public viewing of the newly installed sophisticated seismographs. They say they all three of them are now operational and transmitting data. So we should, as a public, should be provided that link to the data. And once that link is provided to me, I will provide that link to you guys, unless you guys already have it. So far, I can't find it. There is the Raspberry Shake data, which they provide, and but those are different. These newly installed ones are a little bit different than the Raspberry Shake, I believe. Earthquake activity is still continuing. Looks like in the past 24 hours, the seismic network detected approximately 31 earthquakes that were likely large enough to be felt by people on the Manua Islands. Numerous events were felt and reported by residents, including the largest earthquake detected on the network. But it doesn't say. It doesn't say the magnitude here. They did set up some sound recording data analysis. Confirms that these sounds are related to earthquakes and not to other sources, meaning not volcanic. The booming noises have been picked up on sensors that measure very low frequency sound waves on the island of Tau. They are correlate with the earthquakes recorded on nearby seismometers. These sound wave frequencies are at and below the lowest range of human hearing. Kind of like those of whales used to communicate over long distances. That's pretty cool. Geologists flew over the island of Tau yesterday and saw no signs of recent landslides, rock falls, ground cracking, or other activity that could have caused these sounds. So these booming sounds are earthquake related, according to these folks. But overall, no major seismic changes there across the islands. Let me check out the recent data here from at least the link that I do have, the Raspberry Shake data. Let's see here. I'm going to go to this site here and we'll check it out real quick. Maybe they added on here. I don't know. This is actually the first time I'm checking this data system here today. So we'll see what they got. No, it still wants to go to the Raspberry Shake data view. I'm not for certain. Maybe they are using, where's the EHZ station? Let's see. These are citizen science stations, though. I want to see the USGS installed seismograph stations. So hopefully they provide me with a link. I mean, it's public info, and it should be provided to the public upon request. As far as earthquake activity goes here, it looks like definitely within the last couple hours, seen some earthquake activity continuing there at the Tau volcano. Nothing big, no major quakes on here. These do look like some upper 2s, possibly some low-grade 3s on the map. And yeah, I anxiously await the reply there from the HVO folks. I'll be waiting. Let's go ahead and check out some volcanoes here along the Cascades with their seismograph stations. Mount St. Helens, we'll go ahead and double check here. Looks like there was a little bit of earthquake activity today here. Small little speck of an earthquake, and you can see this little swarm has been ongoing here for a couple months. And as I've said before, I believe this has got to do with subsidence of the center area of the caldera, the volcano itself. There's a couple of small earthquakes here listed on the map, very small ones. Those are probably the ones that are listed on the PNSN network. And over the last 24 hours, 36 hours here on this map, got another one here, and a couple other smaller earthquakes, but no major movement. Again, if you do a quick GPS check of the area, and anyone and everyone can access this site here around Mount St. Helens and check out the GPS coordinates here, which are these blue boxes. I believe this one right here is our working one. Nope, I always click the wrong one. Let's see here. Maybe it's got to be this one, top one. So yeah, there we go. This one here is going to show 2022 data, and you got the eastward movement, northward movement, and the upward movement here. And you know, look at the gradual trend here. It's all going down. If there was some type of intrusion of magma, we would see this sharply rise and stay probably sharply rise. But looking at this data right here, it doesn't look like there's too much uplift. You know, a lot of times there's these little sequence here where we do get a little bit of uplift, but there's cycles, and it seems like it goes on that every year. Right now, kind of going down. It's possible we might be seeing this trend up a little bit, and that could have something to do with the maybe a little bit of the earthquake activity. But in general speaking here, we're at a gradual decline of the volcano itself there at Mount St. Helens. And the site is actually really cool. You can check out, like I said, a whole bunch of different areas around the world when it comes to GPS stations. Let's see what else. Earthquakes Canada here. We'll go ahead and give these guys a check. Looks like a little activity up in the Alaska region. Just some very small microquakes. We see that on the USGS map. Did have a little bit of swarming here, it looks like, along this area into the looks like just outside of Juneau, Alaska. A little bit of swarming movement, but then again, that's from the last couple weeks as well, including within the last 30 days. But far as recent activity goes, Canada's concerned, not a whole lot happening in the east. Looks like mostly right here. Let's see what we got kicking up. A couple of these small earthquakes here in the area well outside of Edmonton. Just a bunch of small little microquakes. Not for sure about what fault systems are up here. Similar to you know, the rest of the North American plate. It's got areas of interest when it comes to the faults, but no major activity to report there in the Canada area. Let's see. Let's check out the GeoNet servers here for the New Zealand area. This is a week and above last 365 days of earthquake activity. Here's the last one. Looks like about 10 hours or so ago, a little 2.8 weak earthquake, and then we did. This is just basically confined to the area of New Zealand itself. It doesn't include too much further outside of that region, areas like the Kermadec Trench, in that respect of things, but basically confined to New Zealand. Light and above. Looks like last week when they had that 3.9. And then a couple weeks prior to that, so not a whole lot of movement here on the GeoNet servers. Let me check out the EMSC model, because I was pretty certain I seen a couple other earthquakes here from this morning. Let me double check here around the New Zealand area, and zoom in here. Ooh, where'd we go? Got to go up a little bit. Yeah, not a whole lot. Yeah, it looks like just a couple small earthquakes there. Those could be the ones that were listed. Just 3.1 and 3.2, North Island, New Zealand. Aside from that, just I'm sure a beautiful day out there for sure, but it has been awfully quiet. Of course, we did have that 5.8 down there along the Kermadec Trench. So things are kind of possibly working their way down into this plate boundary. So just got to be prepared. Been a while. Well, they had some pretty large earthquake activity out here last year, but still things are always changing and always moving here on planet Earth. Let's see what else we got. National Data Buoy Center here. Nothing spectacular. Nothing in event mode. Still haven't got a lot of these stations out here fixed around the Java Trench. I don't know why, because this is a major area for earthquake activity. And also tsunamis. So I remember messaging these guys. I don't know if it was this station or not, and they never wrote back. Never kind of answered my question as to what was going on with this. You know, little seemed like a little rise of the seafloor, so to speak, but I believe that was error data, some type of data error coming in there to the region. But yeah, none of these are operational. This one is, but everything looks very typical, very standard there in terms of the data and the wave, or yeah, the wave heights there. All right, have a good night, guys. I'm going to bounce out of here. Let's do a real quick check of the solar weather activity once again, because it's always changing, and 3088 is it won't quit. Right now, looks like again we're coming back down from that M flare that 3088 just produced. But things are elevated, so just be on guard. Could see that X flare possibly pop off from that departing sunspot over there, which, like I said, still visible as far as the flares go, but the actual sunspot itself, definitely not. Just kind of goes to show you how high these solar prominences and these features of the flares, you know, raise up off the surface of the sun there. Pretty crazy. Awesome to look at, that's for sure. Coronal hole activity, that's another thing. I don't think we checked that. There is a coronal hole. You can see a couple of them here. 20, 17 down south. This one right here is of concern because that will be facing us directly. I'm talking directly too. In the coming days, and no doubt that will enhance the 3-day geomagnetic forecast. So stay tuned for that as number 20 turns into view, and well, turns into the Earth view, and provide us with some high solar wind stream there. All right, guys, have a good night. Stay safe out there. We will chat you guys a little bit later tomorrow. Peace out.